Welcome in to another episode of the My Two Bits Gator Football Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben, and I have with me my other host, Randy, or our other host, Randy. Um, how's it going, Randy? How you feeling? How's things up in the Gainesville part of the world?
Man, I'm just happy to be on this thing with you. I really am. Hopefully, this will be a very good therapeutic moment and a dare I say a goose faba-ish release for many of us. So you know what? It's interesting, man. It's up, it's down, it's left, it's right. A lot of head scratching,
Yep,
right? So
yep.
that's the tone, that's the attitude. But excited this weekend coming up for homecoming and Vanderbilt, which I know we'll get into later. But either way, like I said, man, just happy to go through some of these X's and O's and nuts and bolts with you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Same here. And I think we kind of talked about it after the Utah thing, right? That kind of going back through and looking at this a little differently really can be, helpful. Try to be more objective, right? Try to be less emotional. And sometimes that can help. Though I will say that worked a little better with Utah than it did with this one for me.
Fair.
So this one was tough. It was a tough week. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to start it off here. As always, get it started with our mission, our vision, and our agenda for the pod here. So our mission is to provide factual analysis of all things Gator football. Our vision is to have unfiltered conversation around the product on the field, as well as recruiting and overall coaching decisions. Our analysis is going to be based on our review of film, and while we will express opinion, that opinion should always be backed up in fact. And we will also evaluate strategy and tactics that we saw and observation of player personnel decisions and on the field execution overall. So to that point, talk through our agenda here. We're first going to start off with our "Oh My" section to honor the big plays in the game after the infamous Mr. McHubert there. Then we'll go to our offensive segment, which is called the Chomp segment, right? What did we take a bite out of this week? Not much, right? Um, then we'll go to defense and talk a little Gator bait on that segment, and then we'll go to our visor throw segment where we'll get out all our beefs and complaints about things we did not like from the week as it relates to the team. Then we'll talk a little recruiting in our hatchling segment. That'll happen. Just a brief overview of what's going on with the overall class. We then go into our culture segment, which is called Pride of the Sunshine, and how the team looked from a culture standpoint, and whether or not they were, you know, what the spirit, if you will, was from what we could perceive of that, right? Then we'll move on to our officiating in the move back you suck category. And then finally, we will have a wrap up, just kind of talk about where we're at with the team at this point and where we see it going forward for the rest of the season. We'll then play a little game we like to call Keep It or Pitch It and go over the results of the weekend before. And then we'll do our sign off and close this thing out. So with that, let's get started with some "Oh My." You want to give us your exciting plays from the game that they were, if there were, Randy?
Hey, I know, B. I know it's really tough to talk about oh my when I think the majority of us are saying oh no.
You got
So,
it, buddy.
but at the end of the day, Gator Nation, I think we have a little bit to at least smirk, half smile about. The first one I've got is a blocked extra point. Um, you
Yes.
know, not often you see that, especially for our special teams. I can't say that I was expecting that, much less hoping that we can get at least a finger on the ball, and something was made happen, right?
Yep,
So
absolutely.
blocked extra point for me is definitely a nice one, because especially with how special teams has struggled this year, I think that was hopefully a good momentum builder for them. So that was one. I'm going to go with about 2:44 left to go in the second quarter. We're about first and 10. Mertz here avoids a sack, rolls right, and a nice little sidearm, Mahomish, or however you want to say it, Rodgers sidearm to Pearsall for a big first down.
Yep.
Uh, I know people say Graham is Graham, and oh well, that's just flashes of what he was at Wisconsin, but he's really at times shown some athleticism, right? I didn't say he is ultimately athletic, but he's been able to show the flair, the swag, little pops here and there, right? So that was good. Um, I'd say Mertz to Douglas, right on the 2nd and 5, where
Yep.
Caleb tried to stretch it to get to the goal line, didn't make it. Good awareness though. I like the fact that he felt like he was so close. He had the intuition to stretch the arm out. That was good. But either way, great hands, great catch on the ball coming down. massive first down. But that's what was tough, because I'm sure everyone saw the replay. As he came down, that left ankle just gets tied up and crushed by his defender on the play. So I know he's got a significant lower leg injury, but kudos to him for the catch, the hands, the all hands team, stretching out, trying to make something happen for the first down, trying to get some momentum. And then, especially with that kind of pain, we heard it's more likely going to be a high ankle sprain, a lower leg injury, out for a significant amount of time, whatever. Kudos to him for hanging on to the ball. So that was great.
Agreed.
I'm going to go third quarter. 8 minutes and change to go. The shovel pass while Mertz is getting tackled to Etienne. And boy, what a replay, because Mertz was about, 0.2 seconds away from sitting his bottom on the ground.
Yep.
Sends it to Etienne. He looks up, he reverses field, gets a massive first down. And so it was funny, in that third quarter, I felt like, okay, momentum. Oh, momentum. Hey, this thing called momentum. Can we build on it? But either way, that was a great play.
Yeah.
So anyways, Mertz to Pearsall, right? For
Yeah.
the catch and the dive or the flip in that third quarter with about 7:17 to go. I tell you what, that's what made it a 2-score game. And that's what had you thinking, kind of, wait a minute, can we really just kind of work something out here? But unfortunately not. And then my last one, fourth quarter, 6:40 to go, last hope. But Mertz, and this might not be a big play to most people, but Mertz stiff-armed their edge. Dumped to Johnson. It didn't gain any yardage on the play, but it saved a sack, lost yardage, or an incompletion. But Mertz had a pretty good stiff arm on this kid, number 44 out of Kentucky. So for me, it's really neat to see someone like Mertz, not as athletic as a Tebow, as a Richardson, give a massive stiff arm to sit this kid down. So those were my 6 oh my's. I know it's hard to think there were that many, but those were my oh my's for the game.
Yeah, so interesting. So I have all the ones that you have. So I won't go too deep on that. But the thing I found interesting in just listening to all that is, I think you said Mertz in every single one of them, for one reason or another. Interesting, right? Interesting. It's just interesting, because there really was, he played pretty well, considering. He really did, again, and that's been a theme, right? And it wasn't easy, because we couldn't run the ball to help spare him, any really, tough situations or whatever else. It was pretty obvious what was going to happen and what they were going to do. So, difficult day to have a good day, I feel like, with the way the offense played overall, and yet he still did. So that was positive. So yeah, I've got pretty much 3 of your 6. I will say I had the Caleb catch, I had the Ricky TD. I'm not going to go into describing them. I will say I'm still not 100% sure that ball crossed over the plane on the Ricky play, because I couldn't see a replay where I could tell. But hey, I'll take it, right? We needed it. So we'll take whatever we can get in that game, right? I did give the pitch to ETN on here, but I gave it an honorable mention. And I say honorable mention because Khalil Jackson was wide open on a slant. They called it out on the broadcast. I saw it at least halfway live. I mean, there was nobody around him. And you, granted, great pickup, and that's all good and fine. And then we got the first, right, and that's terrific. But man, you made that a lot harder than it had to be. He was wide open. I don't know how he didn't see that one, wide open in the middle of the field. Like, I don't know. Anyway, but hey, again, we got the first. That's all that matters. So, and it was nice to see, Trevor still giving good effort and really continuing to do that too. So, so that's really pretty much it for Oh My. It's not going to be anything that really, knocks anybody's socks off in this game. Obviously, there just wasn't that kind of game, unfortunately. Way too much of a slog. So with that, we'll move it on, and we'll start talking about our chomp segment, right? So into the offense. So we'll start with the stats we always look at for each game, which is going to be the QB rating. Hello, and
Hi.
yeah, right. And we're going to look at that on the NFL scale. Again, there's less variability in that. It's a set rating of between 0 and 158.3. So from there, we are going to have Mertz at 108.89 in this game. As we've said in previous weeks, anything over 100 is good. And considering, once again, what he was faced with the lack of a run game, I think that's actually a very strong number, considering. So he was, again, 80+% completion, continued to increase his completions in this game. As far as percentage goes, remarkable, considering. And yeah, I think he's been really a consistent bright spot on this team. I mean, is he, some kind of all-world Heisman Trophy winning quarterback? No, he's not. But he's consistent, solid, and been a really good field general, which is all we asked for, really, maybe, and even then a little some extra,
Yep.
I did hate that he missed a couple of big throws. He had a throw that could have gone huge for Khalil over on a deep cross, and then he missed the one to Caleb early on, which he was gone. That was 6. So that did stink. But I mean, hey, you can't get mad at the guy. You can't make every throw, right? He's completing 80% of his passes. You can't make them all. So yeah, for real. All right. So then there's the other part of this stat that we look at, which is the yards per carry. 2.4 yards per carry for the offense. I have ouch. Yeah. Ugly number. So first and foremost, the O-line was absolutely dominated for most of the day. We could not open up the lanes that we needed to open up. They knew that we were running and they came for it. The linebackers were all over it all day, but there was consistently little push from the O-line, and the D-line and the linebackers were just living in the backfield. I mean, there were so many plays where those guys were behind the line of scrimmage where we had to do something to get away from them. Sometimes we did, sometimes we didn't, right? And that's just, you're not gonna do well there. So that was definitely a struggle to watch, because the O-line has maybe not been great this year, but it's been better than that. And that was pretty disappointing, especially with getting Kingsley back. I was really hyped about getting Kingsley back, and then that happened. So hopefully they get a good week of practice in and come together a little better for this next game against Vandy. I felt like we really missed Trey Wilson in this game. Like, I know that he's been, a factor in some of these games and more of a factor in some than others and everything else. But I feel like him being in this game and the threat of that edge speed could have really changed the complexity here. When he's not in, Ricky runs all the, the receiver motion for the pitches or the fake pitches or pop passes or whatever, right? I don't think they're scared of Ricky. Ricky's a great player. I love him to death, but his speed is not scary. Trey's is. Trey's is scary, man. You got to watch out for that guy or he is gone, right? And I just think that there's really a difference when you don't have him in the game. And I think he would have given us that threat and not allowed those linebackers to cheat up so much when we're, running run plays, because that just kept happening. I think it's just because they weren't afraid of it. So, so that was tough, not ending up having him as a scratch, especially when we thought he was going to be healthy, after the injury report. I've also got Andy Jean. This small bright spot here, a couple of nice catches, nice route running. The book on him in camp was that he was running the best routes of any freshman. I think I'd agree with that. He looked pretty clean out there, and some nice catches, some nice routes, little bit of yak here and there. Yak is yards after catch, by the way, just since I'm throwing out bunch of vernacular here. Again, besides that, it was Mertz, right? We already talked about it. Real positive, in my opinion. I like that we were generating a little more downfield. I like that a couple of the plays had better route design. We still need more shots. And we still need that better route design more consistently, because there were still several times when he was back there and he either got sacked or had to roll out and run it because nobody was open. And again, Kentucky does not have a secondary that should have been capable of doing that consistently, and yet they still were. So that tells you something, right? It tells you that it goes back to play design. So, but again, Mertz was really, really good. We already talked about it, right? He's just been really solid. So those are my notes on offense. That's really all I got here. Not that was nothing, but it's not a ton. I have more in the rest of the segments to come. But what do you got on offense there, man?
Oh, for sure, B. I'm going to back you up there, buddy. Ricky, not as scary, right? But I think the word you'd used before, which I never thought about it, but I think you're spot on, is twitchy. Yep. He's got that twitch, he's got that zip, he's got that pop, and that's the thing when you have a talent like that, anyone who's blessed with that type of athleticism to move their hips and move their shoulders, and it's almost like going 0 to 60 and 3.8 versus 6.4, massive difference that most people just kind of aren't ready for. And that's what I think the kind of impact that he can have. So spot on there. Outside of that, A couple things. Uh, you know, Johnson on 3rd and 15 on the opening drive called back
Yeah,
for holding,
yeah. And it
right?
was holding too.
Called back for a big holding. So that no bueno, right? On the opening possession, right? We missed Douglas, like you mentioned. Caleb, that could have been that was six. That was six.
Yeah,
Khalil Jackson, right? Could have been big again. Maybe
yeah.
not six, but we're looking at 1st and goal.
But
Khalil
it could
comes
have
down
been,
with the ball.
you couldn't see behind him what was on, or you couldn't see on TV what was behind him. I don't know if
No,
there was a safety down there to help, or he catches that in stride. Who knows?
who knows exactly? That's one thing I thought was interesting. Kentucky's backs looked faster than I remember. So, anyways, that is what it is. Um, on 3rd and 6 here, in again 1st quarter, winding down, 4 minutes to go. Nice 3rd and 6 rollout by Mertz to find Jackson, again legacy player for 1st down. That was great. In the 2nd quarter, 3rd and 12, big 1st down complete to Jackson again over the middle in a lot of traffic. That was a big grab, especially in all that traffic. The 2nd quarter, the long pass to Pearsall. Here's the thing. It pops out as it hits the ground. This is what's interesting for me is I'm like, okay, this is how our day's going, right? Because that popped out, hit the ground. But if he had caught it, guess what would have happened?
He would have gotten called back for hands to the face, which I did not agree with.
It would have gotten called back for a questionable hand
Hmm.
to the face penalty, right?
We'll get to that later, sir.
We will get to that, sir. We will get to that, right? So, anyways, outside of that, Micah, Muskua, Damian George, Kingsley, like you guys were supposed to be back and you guys were supposed to be so upset for missing last week and the game being close. And Kingsley had treatment on his ankle and he was supposed to be good to go. And it was almost as if, wow, non existent, right? Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, to start the 4th quarter, there was a 3rd and 1 sneak, right? A QB sneak where we decimated their D line. We hadn't done that all day. I was like, wait a minute, where was this the previous 3 quarters?
Hmm.
Just unbelievable. So I look at that, and then yeah, it's funny you say that. Oh, you mean what was the common theme in your oh my? Oh yeah, Mertz. And here's the thing, and it's so funny because I saw some of the talking heads, and I saw a lot of the media footage, and I saw a lot of what was written. Wisconsin Badgers blasting Graham Mertz, right, for being Graham Mertz. And I'll tell you what, stats don't lie. Graham Mertz has completed 70% of his passes or better in each of his first 5 starts as a Gator. The only, let me repeat this, the only ever quarterback to accomplish this feat 5 consecutive games across the past 21 seasons. Really?
Wow.
Really? Right? Mertz has completed 79.4% of his passes, as you mentioned, 80%, right? Which leads the SEC and ranks 3rd nationally behind Bo Nix, former Auburn quarterback, now
Hmm.
slinging the ball over there at Oregon, and Michigan's J.J. McCarthy. So, regardless of anything else, we don't have a whole lot to chomp on. But at the end of the day, Graham, I think, is doing the best he can given how he is. And hearing what Napier had to say about Graham being his biggest critic, he knows he's going to dig deep and do whatever he can do to rally the troops and get the guys on the same page. Because that's one thing for me that I think has been the most consistent the entire season, and that is Graham. So that's it
Yeah,
for my chop
agreed.
segment, bud.
No, agreed, man. I'm right there with you, and I really think we're starting to see a real alignment here as far as our thoughts and feelings on Mertz, and to your point, it's based on stats. It's not just like we like the guy, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, good stuff. All right, let's move it to Gator Bait. What you got? Talk to me about that vaunted and very much talked about defense. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh is correct. It's funny, bud. I'm looking at, okay, man, we have a top 5 defense. This is going well. This is going well. This is going well. There is no way, knowing what Kentucky has done over the past 4 years, no way in Sam Hill Double A is going to let up on the intensity and let them off the hook. I'll
And
tell
he
you
didn't.
what,
And he didn't. For the record, AA didn't. But
he didn't. But at the end of the day, for whatever reason, not all of us made it to Lexington okay. All right. And I tell you what, I'm just going to go off of a couple of plays that I have here, chronological order of my notes. But Scooby must be real hungry. He had 0 Scooby snacks in this game. I get it. He had 4 tackles, but Scooby missed a tackle, Ray Davis on the opening drive, right? And then the bad angle by Kimber allowed him to just march for a first down. Okay. Now,
yep.
very next play, possession, right? Kimber's going to whiff on a first down play, gets up and then whiffs on him again to give up another first down to Ray Davis. Now, let me just stop right there. Ray Davis had a phenomenal game.
For sure.
Ray Davis had a phenomenal game last year in a different color jersey.
That he did. Not quite as good as this one, but yeah.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it was like this D line, like it's like, guys, when you get punched in the mouth like that, this is part of what we had prided ourselves on, especially when you look at finishing a game and standing up to that adversity. It was almost as if they didn't know how to take it, right? You had Marshall and Mitchell whiff on a wide receiver on the left side of the field to give up a first down. Like, I mean, a whiff and a whiff. Like, I mean, I'm not talking AB, up, down, up, shift, back, A. Like, it was just a pretty straightforward tackle, if you ask me. But then again, I don't have 4.5 speed, but whatever. Ray Davis on Kentucky's first touchdown run. I tell you what, Scooby had him at the 13-yard line. Whiff. Miguel Mitchell had him at the 7.5, 8-yard line. Whiff. Then Kimber wraps him up at the 5, right? And Davis pulls him, plus with the help of a 320-pound lineman, I get it, but still pulls him. So clearly he wanted it more. Clearly.
Agreed.
Right? Up 10-0, right? I think my total tally was about 17 or 18 missed tackles. It looks like we had 19 missed tackles. I was like, holy smokes, Batman. This is just atrocious. When you look at the other missed tackles that we've had this season compared to this game, just completely skewed our season average. Okay. I'm going to put out an APB for Princely Umanamalian. Princely Umanamalian. Where was he?
Yeah, I think he made like 2 tackles. I don't know the number, but that's what I remember.
Where was he, right? This is a guy who's supposed to be a force to be reckoned with. This is supposed to be one of our leaders on that line.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing him trailing on plays. I'm seeing him gassed. I'm seeing him slow up. I'm seeing him shut it down. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Okay. Ray Davis, again, not to take away anything from that young man, but 280 yards rushing. Third most in a game in program history, right? It was 19 short of the school's record. Unbelievable. And that's the thing. When you look at that, he just, he had a great line, but at the end of the day, he made some play, and he just wanted it more. You can tell by the way he ran mad. He ran with a chip on his shoulder saying, I'm going to prove a point. Yeah. And he did it. Flat out did it. I'm going to turn the page on Gator Bait a little bit. I'm going to turn the page. And I got these stats. I had to dig a little bit deep, but we got them. Either way. In 1 year under AA, Florida ranks in the SEC, right? Second in the SEC, 10th in Power 5, 13th in the FBS total, with 275.6 yards allowed per game. Through 5 games last year, UF had allowed, do you know the number?
I do not.
400. More. 421 yards a game.
Wow. Oof.
421, sir. All right.
And 3 of those opponents are the same.
Right. Okay. Florida boasts the top passing defense in the SEC, 144 yards. Okay. Ranking 3rd behind Penn State and Marshall. Right. Okay. Cool. No problem there. Gators have limited teams to 17.4 points per game, 20th in the Power 5. And get this, an 11.5 point improvement from last year.
Mhm.
11.5 point improvement.
Yeah, it's big.
Okay. Through the first 5 games of the season, the Gators have allowed 87 points, 17 a game, right? That's what we mentioned. Compared to 22 when they allowed 135 points a game, a 48-point improvement. Okay. When Florida, right now, we're limiting opponents to about 275 yards a game. Again, right now, 146-yard improvement from last year.
Wow.
Unreal, right?
That is unreal.
Unreal.
And it's a good, it's a good point to make because before we go, bashing this defense for this game, right? It is good to think about the fact of how solid they have been. And, this sometimes even good defenses get got, right? So they got in this one, but that doesn't mean that they're bad.
And so that's the thing, right? They're still ranked in the top 13 total defense, 275.4 yards a game, 5.18 yards per play,
which
in
is high.
totality,
Which is high.
And that's the other catch there when you look at the number of plays and the number of snaps. So Gator Nation, I know we started out with the bad, and a lot of the bad, believe it or not, was fundamentals, and that was tackling.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought I'd say this, but especially on the defense, like the intensity just was not there, especially with the points that Napier made of what this means to go into Lexington, how Kentucky has played us the past 4 years. It was just really tough to watch that. But in totality, the defense through these 5 games, still a top-ranked defense nonetheless. So that's what I've got for Gator Bait, my man.
Yeah, it's a good takeaway, and it's a good point. And I have something somewhat similar. So we'll take a look here. Again, we're going to start with the stats, same ones as before and as always. So QBR for Leary, 74.23. So not good, right? And that was pretty evident. To be honest with you, I looked up the number and I was like, it's that high? Like I was thinking it's going to be in the 50s, but it's because he got that one touchdown, even though he didn't throw for many yards or yards per attempt or have a good completion percentage. He was sub 50%. So Leary was kind of what we expected. I mean, he's only 59 coming in, had thrown a couple of picks. We should have had a pick. We'll get to that later. But at the end of the day, he was not good. But then there was the yards per carry at 9.1 for Kentucky. Wow. So many big plays that we gave up in that game. It was just remarkable. And of course, very disappointing. So interesting stat for you that I'll give you. Coming into this game, guess how many rushing yards we had allowed in total for the season?
Tell me.
And there is some variance to this, so I can't tell you, but this all came from one site, and it's exactly this on one site. So we had allowed 329 rushing yards through 4 games. And against Kentucky, we allowed 329 rushing yards.
Get out of 329 and 329
to the number. We had allowed that number through 4 games, and then we said, let's double it.
That so, is wacky.
Yeah, it is pretty wild, right? But that's an average coming into that of only 86 yards per game, I believe is what I calculated. I didn't write it down. I'm going off the top of my head. But at any rate, the point being is it was sub 100, and then we give up 329. So I mean, we were ranked like top 15 in rushing defense coming into this game, and now, not. So we're now 58th on the ranking, by the way. Pretty solid little drop there. So, pretty disappointing from the defense. Really bad gap discipline from the linebackers a lot of the game. It's not that they weren't, necessarily going to the right place, but they were either late getting there or they made the wrong break to cover, the play that was going on. The counter killed us again, man. The counter killed us again. That's the play that was run there. If you remember the game where we gave up the most rushing yards in Gator history, it was the counter play that kicked our butt, off guard counter all night. Well, guess what? They ran some of that the Kentucky game as well, just a little bit. And it was super successful against us yet again, which is really, really frustrating, obviously. Now, I will say some of this did come from some of the schemes that Austin was in, the double A, excuse me, was putting through in the first half. We were playing a lot of cover one, cover zero. We were really kind of, selling out to really be in a position that should have been good to stop the run, but it wasn't working. And then in the second half, we switch it up. We start playing a bunch more too high safety, and we're way better. Like it's just very interesting to me when you look at that. And I say way better. It still wasn't spectacular, obviously, but it was much better in the second half. The run defense was much, much better in the second half. I wish I had a breakdown of half by half somewhere so I could look at yards per carry in the first half and the second half, because I think it would be remarkable what the difference was there.
Yep.
But overall, like I said, just not getting to the gaps they needed to be in on the linebacker side. The D-line got pushed around a bit. They really did. They got moved a little. And it wasn't like Kentucky was overwhelming them, but they weren't overwhelming Kentucky. Right, we've seen that D-line play outstanding, be getting in the backfield all the time. Whether it was Princely, though I honestly don't think Princely played terrific for most of the season. To be honest with you, I've been much more impressed with the interior of the line. Right, Cam Jackson, Caleb Banks,
Sure.
those guys have been tearing it up in there. Of course, when Big Dez gets in there, Searcy when he's on the edge, right? Sapp's been really good. All those guys have just been really good on that D-line for the most part. And Princely hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been as good as I thought he would be. Let's be clear.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, we just didn't have that push. We weren't living in the backfield. We weren't getting by those guys like we have been. We were just kind of getting, they held their blocks fair enough, right? They held up where they were, but then that was it, and that wasn't really disrupting anything. Those interior linemen especially made mincemeat out of Tennessee's running game. I mean, they were all over that running game that night.
Oh yeah.
Not in this game, not even close. So there was a difference there. They really weren't as fired up, like you kind of talked about earlier when we were talking about this. Really felt like we came out flat. Early kick out of town. I did have flashbacks to Vandy early kick out of town last year, right? Just not. There's something there. We're going to get to more about this later, but there's something about preparation for road games in general, but especially when they're early kicks, man, that we are just not with it, and I don't get why, but we'll talk more about that later. So you mentioned the missed tackles. As you said, 19 missed tackles. I'll go a step further. First of all, that's just unacceptable, number one. We came in averaging 6.75 missed tackles per game. I found the stats. We talked about they were hard to find. There, I happened to catch an article that had them posted. 6.75 missed tackles per game was the average. It is now 9.2. Yikes. That is not good. It went up almost 2.5 missed tackles as an average in one game. Oh, not okay, man. Really, really poor tackling game. And not sure why. A lot of the angles were bad. A lot of this credit to Ray Davis. He ran really hard, right? He's a physical runner anyway. So, I mean, I feel like that can happen. I mean, he ran over Shamar James on a play where he got tackled. I mean, the guy's a physical back, but we just weren't doing the right things, doing the things that we've been doing, to your point, right? Scooby multiple times filled the wrong gap. He just went the wrong way. The counter seemed to really give him fits in particular. That counter, he literally went the way of the fake, and then the run play was obviously going the opposite way because it's a counter. That's what that means, right? You counter on the opposite side of the line to where you hand the ball off, by the way, is what that term means. And Scooby went for the side they handed the ball off on. I watched him. He was like, oh, I'm going to go over here. Oh, the ball's going that way. See ya, touchdown. And if he's there to help fill that gap, that's not a touchdown, period. It's just not. It still could have been potentially a big play if he missed the tackle, but he might have at least slowed him down and prevented the 6, right? Because we were in a cover 0 look on that one. We were ready to just pounce on it, and then it got by the first, second, and third level real quick, and see you later. So that was rough. Again, as I mentioned, second half defense got better, right? Yards per carry were better. The pass defense was actually pretty good all game, minus a couple of plays, but it really was pretty good. Jaden Hill was a little lax in coverage on one we gave up for a first down, and then Marshall with the very, very unnecessary pass interference. That ball was not going to get caught. I don't know what he was doing there, but again, we'll get to that in a second here. So I did see improvement. I did see things that there were adjustments, things changed. Hey, that's a good thing, right? We got to take that as a positive, right? Because last year it was like, hey guys, here's the defense. And that didn't work. Well, we're going to keep doing the exact same thing. See if it works better. We're not seeing that this year. Armstrong is very smart, very progressive, very, in tune with what's going on. And if something's not working, he's changing it. And we've seen that more than once. So that's really, really, really good. By the way, we were talking about earlier, Castell going down on that tackle of Davis on that long run. And I think it was in either the late second or early third. I think it was early third quarter. He did come back in the game. So he's okay. I saw him later on when I was watching the review. So I know we were talking about that earlier when we were concerned about his status. I think he's fine because he came back in the game. So that's all I've got for the defense. Really just a tough day, but I do think, probably not what we're going to see for most of the season. I don't think this is like a precursor of things to come in SEC play. I think this unit is going to be better most of the time. They are still young, young coordinator, young, amount of time working together. Sometimes that's just going to happen, right? There's going to be consistency things at times, and teams are going to figure stuff out that works. And, again, it was good to see us adapt to it. It was just too little too late. So with that, we will move on to the visor throw segment. So here we go. Everybody buckle up.
Oh, man.
As mentioned, I'll get us started. Sorry, I didn't say who was starting it off, but I'll roll into it first here.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, please, because I don't show me the way.
Well, I'll try. I don't know if this is the way I want to be going, but that's the whole point here, right? Is to get these out. So, Jason Marshall. Are you sure you're 5-star? Because you don't look like one, buddy.
Oh.
His execution week in and week out has been not good. Got burnt last week on a couple of plays, including a touchdown. I'm sorry, against Tennessee is what I'm referring to. Got burned a couple times, including for a touchdown. Just often is just not positioned where he should be, regardless of his talent. He was again out of position frequently in this game. Dropped a gift of a pick six. I still don't know how he didn't catch the ball. I mean, literally all you have to do is put your hands up, which he did, and then, push them together around the ball, which he didn't. So I don't know. I got nothing, man. I really don't. That was the easiest pick six I've ever seen in my life, and a huge momentum change if we get it. And no. The pass interference, as I already mentioned, was not good. His play is just flat out not good enough, in my opinion. I'd like to see him benched. I'm not saying I don't want to see him play at all, but I don't want to see him start. Sure. That's where I'm at with it. I think Devin Moore and Jalen Kimber have shown on film that they are better. I think they should start. They're better. I don't care what happens in practice. They proved it in game, time in and time out. So, yeah, that's just where I'm at with it. And I know that seems crazy for somebody who was talked about preseason to be a potential first-round pick. I don't see it. I do not see it. But, there's a lot of time left in the season. I'm sure he's going to continue to start. I don't think that's when it's going to change. And so I just hope it gets better. That's all I know to say. So we had 4 runs on 3rd and long or 3rd and medium. 4. That's not a way to get first downs consistently, Billy. We got one. We caught him sleeping on that first play, right? He got called back on the hold, but that one worked right now. And it didn't, for the record, work just because of the hold. Like, he would have gotten it anyway. That was a good play call, but you can't just keep doing that. You can't just keep doing that. And now I get it. If you're 3rd and 12, right, and you're on the 50, or you're on the 45, the opponent's 45, right, and you're going to play it like it's 2 downs, because this is what he always says, right? He always says, "Oh, it's because we're playing it, we're playing it for 3rd and 4th down." But see, here's the thing: there was a couple times where we did it on 3rd down and then punted. We didn't play 4th down. We weren't going for it. So you're full of crap. That's not what you're doing all the time. There's situational times where absolutely I think that makes sense and it's fine. However, here's the thing. When you do it as much as Billy is, the whole point of that play is to be in a, quote, obvious passing down situation and then run the ball, right? So that you surprise the team and they get it. The thing is, he does it all the time. So it's not a surprise anymore. They're looking for it at this point. So when you've lost the element of surprise in that play, it's not going to work consistently. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. And I will almost guarantee you that he won't. That is something I expect to continue to see and continue to shake my head at for the rest of this year. I don't like it. Moving on. 10 penalties. 10 penalties. Highest number of penalties on the season, I believe, though I have to go back and check, but I'm 99% sure, highest number of penalty yards on the season. Here we go again. Here we go again. We showed What are the 2 games that we have had penalty issues in this season? Oh, the 2 road games. I understand that in hostile crowd environments, things are going to be different. You're not necessarily going to do as well. And I get that Utah was the first game of the year, and that can have, some of those jitters and stuff like that. I get it. Okay. But this game, no. This game has been a problem every time we go to Kentucky now. We're just littered with penalties, and it's just so unnecessary and so ridiculous for a team that, again, is supposed to be taught discipline on a high level. That's something Billy preaches regularly. Really? Because where was it? It was very undisciplined yet again on the road. We've said it how many times now? How many times now? Depending on whether or not you count the bowl game. I do not count the bowl game. But depending on whether or not you do, he's either 1-7 or 1-6 on the road. So to me, he's 1-6. 2 home game losses in what? 17 games he's played now, 18 games he's played now, 17 not counting the bowl game because I don't count it because that wasn't a game because we didn't have half our team and nobody cared about it. So 17 games, regular season, 2 losses out of the 17 have come at home under Napier. And we are 9-8 overall. So that's 6 of them on the road and only 1 win. And frankly, nobody brings it up, but that was Texas A&M, and their whole friggin' team was out with the flu. So we got lucky to win that one because we got to lay down from them. So having said that, it's just got to get better. This team continues to be just flat out unprepared for road games. Why? Based on everything that we hear time and time and time again, this should not be happening, and yet it is. So we'll delve into it a little bit further. I've got some thoughts on it that I want to bring up when we get to the, kind of state of the team piece of this at the end. But yeah, for now, that's my beef. Where you at? What's your visor throw look like?
A lot of beef, man. And guess what? It's understandable. It really is. Your visor's pretty dirty. We're going to need a lot of OxyClean and Tide and Gain and whatever else we can throw on it.
I think it might. I think it might need flat out bleach this week.
I think you know what? Screw the bleach. Just get to that 10% sodium hypochlorite. All right. So my visor throw. Arliss Boardingham. Great name. Not a good football name because clearly the hands. That I tell you what, I know he was in coverage and hands going up, but that ball was right in his hands. Didn't have to range down, left, up, right, over. And it was almost as if after it missed his hands, he pushed it up to tip it up so that one of the 4 defenders around him had an easier shot of catching the ball.
Yeah, right.
So that was just tough to see because when you look at Mertz's 2 interceptions this year, they were clear interceptions, if that makes sense. So anyways, that was that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Good point. They're both tips, and this one's not on him at all, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, ball's a little high, but it's totally catchable. Totally catchable. Speaking of hitting you in the hands, Jason Marshall, right? God. Listen, yeah. I've got a pair of those wide receiver gloves. Okay, they're sticky. They really are. You want to give him an early Christmas present?
I'm telling you, I do not understand how they don't catch the ball. Ricky obviously used it. Right in the Charlotte game, I know what we're talking about. Yeah. But outside of that, it's like, holy smokes, Batman. Trey Smack's been doing really good. Got the job, kicking 1,000%. And then, now, I know it didn't matter because it was under a minute left in the half, but how do you kick a ball out of bounds on a kickoff? If they had any amount of time on the field, they had tremendous field position. That was, it's just one of those unforced errors,
No, super good point. That kick was squirrely. He's been super good with his kicks. I don't know if he tried to squib it and missed. I don't know what happened there. I really don't. That was a weird kick because he has been really good.
Agreed. Maybe it's one of those things where he just decided to put some extra oomph into it, and it was a snap hook. Who knows? Whatever, right?
Snap hook.
Yeah. You know what? The penalty. The penalty, 12 men on the field and we still give up a touchdown. I'm sorry, if you have 12 men on the field, at least don't give up a touchdown and replay the down. Don't give up a touchdown.
Oh, buddy, we had 13 on the field.
Sorry, 12, 13, 14, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Oh man, and still gave up the touchdown. 13
That's the
to
thing.
11 and still gave it up. Unbelievable.
You know what? I apologize, B. You're right. That's why I should have said you have more than 11 men on the field. Shouldn't be giving up a touchdown. Period.
Oh, you're
Right?
good. You're good. I had to put it out there because man, I couldn't believe that. Hey, at least we didn't have 10 on special teams that I know of this week. So hey, progress.
At least, right? If you want to call it that. I thought momentum stalled out at the end of the third quarter and then was nulled by that false start penalty. It's like, oh my word,
Yeah,
Ben, punt.
that was a tough call.
It was a tough call, right? You know what? Kentucky basketball school, people, basketball school. Rick Pitino, Tubby Smith, Coach Cal, basketball school. Okay, Kentucky's won. Sorry, I have just shivers saying this.
Yeah.
Kentucky's won 3 in a row against Florida for the first time since a 4-game winning streak in 1948 to 1951. Well, 1948 to 1951, but it seems like forever ago, right?
Yeah.
Kentucky's held Florida 16 points or less in 3 consecutive meetings.
God.
Meetings for the first time since 1955 to 1957. Really?
Wow.
The 33 points scored by Kentucky are the most versus Florida since a 45-37 loss in 2007.
I remember that game. I can't remember the quarterback's name on that, but that game was tight. He was a really good quarterback for them that year. I cannot recall his name, but yeah, that was when Timmy like duked it out with him in 07.
Mm-hmm. And then 280 yards for Ray Davis. Again, nothing against him. Second most rushing yards of any player on any team against Florida, minus Mr. Davis Price with LSU, 287 back in 2021, just a couple short years ago.
Yeah, which is pretty sad.
Pretty sad. Now, the other thing I want to get to is the fact that Kentucky, 329 rushing yards. We had 244 passing yards. Oddly enough, Kentucky had 69 passing yards, and we had 69 rushing yards.
Interesting.
69. Very odd, right? Kentucky, 23 first downs to our 15. Oh, by the way, how many sacks did UF get? 0.
But in fairness, they didn't throw the ball that much.
Sure. Still threw the ball 19 times. I'll take 3 sacks out of that. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Fair.
They sacked us at least 3 times for a loss of 27 yards.
They had 4.
You had 4? See,
yeah.
Folks, this is where it's frustrating, where stats are not always correct.
Yep.
Depending on your source.
A lot of variance, which is still pretty amazing to us in looking at this.
Exactly. Third downs, 4 for 13. Third downs. I know it's a season average, but still 4 for 13. Little under season average, 32%.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And time of possession was right there, 31-28. Right there. Let me look at penalties real quick. You said 10 penalties, right, for about 86 yards?
96, I believe.
96? Okay, check this out. Utah, 9 penalties for 46 yards. McNeese, 5 penalties for 35 yards. Tennessee, 5 penalties for 30 yards. Charlotte, 5 penalties for 35 yards. Yeah, it's highest of the season.
Wow. And again, 9 and 10 on the road, 5 at home.
Yeah.
So almost averaging double the penalties on the road. Wow.
Unbelievable. So, anyways, though I'm gonna just stop it there because I think we've our advisors are nice and dirty and mushed and I think that's, in the famous words of my good friend Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, if anybody has any cleaning service recommendations, please feel free to share them with us so that we can clean these things up. Thank you very much.
Bingo.
So moving on, we'll talk a little hatchlings. I don't really have anything here. No player updates. No real movement on anything. We did drop 1 spot in the on-3 composite ranking due to Texas A&M just inching past us with their current class ranking. I think that's absolutely still subject to change. I think we could get that one back. It's not like the distance that Ohio State and Georgia have on us in the rankings. They're probably not catchable. Georgia's almost certainly not catchable, unfortunately, I'm sad to say. But Ohio, Ohio State maybe could be, but I doubt it. Maybe if we flip Jeremiah Smith, it would be.
Oh yeah.
But no, the class is still looking really nice. Be interested to see if there's any fallout this week. Last time after a loss, we did lose one recruit. Obviously, nobody we were particularly worried about, but we did lose one. We did have a decommit. Be interested to see if we have any more. I don't think we will, but we'll see. So that's all I got for recruiting. You got anything there?
No, that's good recruiting. The only other thing I have, I'm not sure if you saw the snippet for Keelan Moses, right? So Keelan's out of a 4-star out of Baton Rouge. He's visited numerous amount of times in the past, but he will be in the Swamp for his first game in the Swamp against Arkansas. 6'2", 215-pound, number 15 ranked linebacker in the 25 class. And people who are familiar with the Moses name, that's brother of former Alabama linebacker Dylan Moses.
Oh,
And,
hello.
Yeah. Coach Gibbs and Bates says basically he says that they make him feel like home, right? A lot of staff come from Louisiana, so that's really good there. Outside of that, his other suitors, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Florida State, LSU, and Oregon. But right now, On3 has him at a 90+% rate to sign with the Gators.
Nice. And we are going to have some news on this. I know kind of every time we've gone through this, there hasn't been any, but there will be some news later this month. There's a couple guys that are projected to announce their commitment this month. One of them being a big one, 4 or 5-star guy, depending on which recruiting service you look at, out of Daytona. So yeah, out of mainland, out of Daytona. So at any rate, we'll see what happens, and we may have some updates in that regard. So apologies for the little noise clip there. Something popped up unexpectedly. So
that was okay.
Yeah, it is what it is. Sorry about that. We don't edit this thing. We talked about it before, right? We just do this live. So hey, when you do something live, and even not live broadcast, but live recording, without takes or without editing or anything like that, that stuff's going to happen sometimes. So sorry about that, but we'll move right along. So speaking of that, let's go to a little Pride of the Sunshine, talk culture here, and what we saw. So I'll get this thing. Actually, no. You know what? You start this off. I take that back. You start off so that I can go first on the officiating. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries at all, B. No, it's always tough. So I enjoy going to the games at home because you get to see a lot more, right? So obviously through the TV you don't see as much. But the one thing I did not see was as bad as we played in that first quarter. Again, Mertz was still being Mertz. So for my Pride of the Sunshine here, I'm still going to say Graham Mertz, field general, but also developing into a really unique leader that I think we really need right now, because with this identity are we a run game? Are we a run focused team? Yeah, we're supposed to be, but then we have these other weapons, but we're playing all these younger guys. I think Mertz has done a really, really good job to do whatever he can to get in there and essentially not make things worse. First and foremost. So Mertz is my big Pride of the Sunshine this week. Outside of that, especially against Kentucky, I just have to throw this in there. Florida still remains the leader in the series, 53-21. And hopefully we never, ever have to worry about this series being evened up in any way, shape, or form, but that is what it is.
Oh, the other thing, I just threw up in my mouth thinking about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to point out was, we know what sometimes it could be coach speak, sometimes it could be, hey, let me just get this press conference over with and let me just say what I need to say and get out of here. But I'm really seeing a unique side of Billy Napier in these conferences, especially when he mentions the word disappointment. Because I feel like that was not a word that came out of him last year, unless you feel like last year being his first year, he couldn't really use that word. Because maybe there's more of an expectation this year because of that culture. Because I think
maybe he has more of an expectation this year.
Right? Exactly. So it's really interesting when I hear him say things like, I feel a great responsibility to do a better job for our players and for our staff. Now, can it be coach speak? Maybe. But can it also be a honest and true raw statement? I do believe that. When people are bashing Graham Mertz, And Billy says, hey, there's no one more critical on Graham Mertz than Graham Mertz. I believe that. And so I know Billy also says everything is constantly being evaluated. Okay. So if that's the deal, let's see how things change. Homecoming game with Vandy, knowing what Vandy's did last year, and moving forward, if we can be the team that he says the guys in the locker room want to win. He says, and the guys in the locker room have a tremendous amount of pride and feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to each other and are supposed to play for each other. So if that's the case, and again, maybe is it a noon kick? I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it'll mess up the TV
No,
ratings, the TV deal.
it's a 4 o'clock kick.
No, I know that, but as far as these noon games, if that's really what's causing this angst, then it's like, okay, nix them, move them, shift them. I don't know, whatever. But either way, I expect to see a big rebound. I expect to see a lot of introspection going on this week inside the locker room, inside practice. And if we do have the leaders that Napier says we have, I suspect a lot of accountability, not finger pointing, of accountability.
Yeah, agreed.
Taking place.
Agreed. And I think we may, for the record, as far as that last comment goes. And sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Do you have anything else?
No, it's a good segue. You're good.
All right, cool. So I think we may have those leaders. I think we do have those leaders, and I think you're right. I think accountability will be a theme this week. I hope that it will. In fairness, we really probably should have won that game, right? I really think that. I'm not. It's not that just that I wanted to win it. It's that we really probably should have. We just didn't play well enough, right? So that's a point that comes up, right, at times where you can be the better team and not win the game. Now, again, it was no gimme, right? It was no gimme. I'm not saying anything like that. It's not like we're sitting here talking about this with Charlotte or McNeese, right? But at the end of the day, we just didn't play as well as we needed to. And this comes back to that same thing. Culture on the road. Why is it different? Now, I'm not saying it's different in terms of what you're talking about, right? You're right. Sideline stuff was still there. They still didn't quit at the end of the game. Those guys were playing hard in the late third and fourth quarter, right? They were going for it, right? They were going for it. So I did not see an effort issue. I did not see a sideline demeanor issue. All those things, to your point, I agree. They looked fine. They looked consistent as they normally do, which is great. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But there's a difference in culture as far as culture can help you execute too, right? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. If you build the right culture in your program, you can build something to where your execution is going to come, at least in part, right? Some of it, of course, is practice and fundamentals and all those things you're going to go over. But some of your execution from your effort level, because of the buy-in that you have to the system and the buy-in you have to your teammates and the buy-in you have to your program and even to your university, is going to make you want to, and then accordingly play better. Mm-hmm. That didn't happen. Shamar even admitted this in the press conference after, right? He straight up said, yeah, we were a little flat coming out. What? And something about the 11 o'clock kick and it being, weird or what? Huh? No, that's not okay. Like, I think Shamar's a terrific player and I'm not dogging him out at all. But if that's really true, then there's something wrong with the prep there. So my question to you is this. If Billy's no longer the play caller, which, again, something we're calling for or I'm calling for anyway, and I definitely want to see at the latest that, next season. I don't think we're going to get it sooner, though he did kind of bring it up almost like it could have been possible or something during one of the press conferences today, I think, which was interesting. I'll get to that later. But would this improve if Billy's no longer focusing on calling plays and gets to focus more on the prep for the game? Would this get better? I feel like it has to, because clearly Billy's teaching these guys the right thing, right? he's clearly teaching them a lot of really, important and valuable and good things to build this culture the way that he has. So why does it fall through the cracks when we go on the road? I get it's harder. I get there's more adversity. I get all of those things, right? I mean, that to a degree that makes sense. But then again, it doesn't if you've really built a culture that prides itself on playing for each other and doesn't need, quote, motivation from outside sources and doesn't need, anything to push them other than the want and drive to play for their teammates and their team as a whole, right? Which is what he preaches all the time. So I'll pose that question to you too. I answered it obviously, but what do you think? Do you think it gets better? Do you think maybe that's something that helps if we're in the position where that happens?
It can, but that's a very valid point, especially if there's togetherness, if there's one team, if you're playing for each other, you're playing for your brother, this, that, and the other. It's like you can't get up for a noon game for a kick against an SEC East opponent.
Right. And if your coach is focused on motivating you to do those things instead of what plays he's calling during the first series of the game, isn't that helpful?
It has to be.
I would think so. I would think so. So be interesting to see what happens. But anyway, that's all I've got for Pride of the Sunshine. I think, I'd like to see a little more pride when we're away from the sunshine.
Yeah.
From Sunshine State, we'll put it that way, right? Because at home it's been fine. But yeah, I'd like to see that get better. All right. So on to the refs. Now, this segment's been pretty clean all year. We've been pretty pleased with the officiating job that's been done. If anything, we felt like there have been some missed calls on the Gators' behalf, right, in their favor. Not this game. I don't have anything like totally deplorable to say, but there were a few questionable things that happened here. One thing you and I talked about that I don't think really much could have happened differently on it, but it was on that punt where oh goodness, I'm stuck on Devin Moore. Dejon Johnson came in and went over the wedge. It's funny. I went back, I watched that play, right? Go back and we watch everything, on a review. The angle that you had from behind, right? When they showed the replay of it and you showed the flag, yeah, it looked like he went over the guys, right? And you can't do that, which he did technically go over the guys. But what you see when you go back and you watch that play live and you're looking for it is that he jumped up, not over. And those guys went underneath him and put their hands actually on his body and kind of tossed them over him or over them, excuse me. Deshaun did not really jump like over those guys. He jumped up, but he really didn't jump over. They kind of pushed him over them after he jumped. So I don't know if that was just a really savvy play by Kentucky or if it was just them trying to get him out of the way, right? And weren't thinking about it. It's probably the latter. But at the end of the day, it looked like he jumped over him, right? That's what it looked like. But I think you made the comment earlier. He doesn't have a 53-inch vertical that he can just jump over those guys' pads.
Yeah,
because they weren't crouched down; they were standing up. So he maybe got some hops, but I don't know he can get up like that. So interesting call there. But again, from the perception of the ref, and we talked about this, the back judge who makes that call, I get why he flagged it. I'm not going to get mad about that one, right? But now we'll get to the two that I am mad about. So you brought it up earlier, hands to the face on Kingsley on the deep ball to Ricky that he didn't catch. But, it backed us up 10 yards, and that was not, overly helpful, right, for the drive. I think we did end up converting that one. I think that was the same drive that went to Caleb later, but I could have them mixed up. However, Kingsley didn't put his hands on the guy's face. He had him up and high on the shoulder pads and in the neck area, but then the defender, and I don't remember who it was, turned his head. And I don't know what it was. Maybe there was a finger in the face mask inadvertently or something like that, or there was the hand somewhere uncomfortable, and he turned his head. But Kingsley did not have his hands in the face area where that flag should have been thrown. That was not a great call. It was a very questionable call, in my opinion. I think maybe it was the head movement that caused that, based on what I saw. But again, I'll always look to you for your takes on this. And then the second one really got my blood boiling. 4th and 1. Wildcat, Trevor Etienne getting ready to take us for a first down. I have a lot of confidence he would have picked that up. A Kentucky player rushes in to try to get the jump, and he does get the jump. However, He crossed the line of scrimmage before we moved. It is blatantly obvious. I thought it looked like it live. And when we watched the replay, it wasn't even close. He was at least a foot over the line of scrimmage before anybody on Florida's line. And I don't know if it was Mazkua or who it was that jumped, but he was at least a foot over the line of that, into the neutral zone before that player moved. Bad call. That was not a false start. That was 100% offsides. Should have been called that way. We should have got a first down instead of backing up and having to punt. Key call. Really disrupted the momentum in that game. We had a chance to, at that point, to go down and make it a one possession game, I believe, at that juncture. Or if not, it would have been potentially 11 points if we'd gotten a touchdown in the 2. Now I know that's a lot of ifs, and I'm not saying that would have happened, but you never know how a call like that causes the change of possession to happen, right, affects a game. Those are huge, right? They're huge. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, that is one that really stood out to me as being a very poor call. So that's what I got on officiating. That's what I got for move back, you suck. What do you got, bud?
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm right there with you. Here's the thing on the punt block attempt. The thing about Johnson is, did he have a reasonable shot to block that punt? He was about 5 yards away, 4 to 5 yards away. No chance. When you look at his jump, it's amazing because both of those Kentucky players kind of just wedged under him, but 67 of Kentucky wedged under him the most and got his leg and did a WWE move to catapult him. That was a really good move. That's the best way I can say it, which is interesting because when I look at the way that he was positioned, I see what you're saying. Okay, if you're the back judge or whoever's back there at the time, they're just looking at it going, oh, he just jumped over them.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't jump. It's a safety issue, whatever. But at the same time, well, why couldn't somebody else see that number 67 grabbed his leg, lifted him, and literally just suplexed him over? So anyways, that was a tough one because, as we know, that gets called back, and Ray Davis goes buck wild again for a massive yard run.
Yep.
So
to the house.
I know people were questioning the pass interference call on Jason Marshall, right, in the end zone. The ball was thrown high, was it? Going back and looking at the angle, if you look at that wide receiver for Kentucky, that would have hit him just over the helmet if he had not been turned. So Marshall did get the shoulder pads. He did get him to the outside. And if Marshall had just stayed with him stride and stride, he would have been okay. But the difference was, if you look at the wide receiver, he did get turned, twisted, and fell. And at that point, it was more or so of, oh, we got to call that. If we don't call that, that looks bad. So that's what I think happened on that play. The 4th and 1 in the third quarter, right? The Wildcat, where Johnson was the Wildcat.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man, that's tough. That's really tough because you see the defender breach the neutral zone, go above it, and then Micah picks his head up because he's thinking, okay, this guy's over the line. I'm just going to pick my head up. There's going to be a whistle, and that's that. No,
and there was, and they flagged him for a false start.
and that's the thing that's wild to me. Now, for those of you who don't know, offensive line, once the offensive line is set, you got to be set. Helmets down, still, cannot move. The center cannot reposition, play with, move, turn, twist, rotate the ball. Everyone's set. The defense is allowed to move and reset. You just can't breach that line. And for all intents and purposes, our O-line was, for once, no, I'm kidding. They were set. Nobody shifted, nobody moved, nobody left early. But so that was just really tough to see it go against us in that way.
Yeah,
and then
it was a tough one.
It was. Then Kingsley hands to the face, inadvertent finger to the face, inadvertent because the helmet was twisted.
Yeah,
but not intentional, not to the point where, again, malicious intent to rip the face mask off and or push the helmet off. None of that. That I think was a bit much.
Yeah, agreed. I thought that was a very, very ticky-tack call, and like I said, questionable to whether, in my mind, whether it even happened at all. But yeah, like you said, maybe you got a finger in there, right? And that's not really the purpose of that rule. So
It is not. It is not. And then that's what's wild because you look at the Tennessee game. A lot of Tennessee's going, you know what? Y'all paid the refs, and in this one, Kentucky didn't necessarily play the refs because let's face it, Kentucky just punched us in the face in the first quarter.
100%.
But obviously, with those four-ish questionable ones, it didn't. It just added a little bit more insult to the injury, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And for the record, I'm totally with you on the PI for Marshall. That was PI. Like he absolutely didn't need to commit PI, but did. And yeah, I agree with you there. I thought that was a right call there. I really, again, didn't have a whole lot of beef. There were some other little things. We had a false start called where it was a left tackle, so it should have been Austin Barber. I mean, he jumped a fraction of a second early. I see this happen all the time,
Yeah.
and it's never flagged. I mean, all the time, and it's never flagged. I mean, it was not like way early at all. I mean, it was like quarter of a second before the ball was snapped. I mean, it was quick. And again, I see it all the time, and it does not normally get called, and it got called. Technically, the right call, yeah, but okay, like that's what we're doing. It a little tough, but again, I'm with you. This is not the reason we lost the game, which is good. We did not have overall problem with the official. Just some calls that were a little less than stellar in this one. I hope we get back to the ways that we've seen so far this season, which have been actually quite good. And I don't need them in our favor, but but quite good overall. So with that. Let's go to our wrap up. Let's talk about where we're at and where we see this thing going from this point on. So you want to give me your thoughts on that there, big man?
Yeah. As a whole, I believe it or not, I feel like this is a situation where the Tennessee fans felt like after we beat them. That's how it feels like, almost like, we should have been more dominant in that game. We should have controlled the line more. We should have taken care of this more. We should have run defense. We should have done this. We missed a couple of opportunities. Wait a minute, that's kind of what we did to Tennessee. We punched them in the mouth early.
Punched them in the mouth early. No, it's good analogy there.
Right, and that's essentially, I mean, to the tune of 16-0, but I mean, essentially, yeah, so that is what it is. So, anyways, next game, Vanderbilt, the Commodores, Harvard of the South, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. Here's the thing, right? Florida, 43-11-2, right, with wins in the last 30 of 32 meetings. The Gators 21-1 against the Commodores in Gaines, Vegas, dating back to 1960. I like that. Should be 22-1 here after this next week. Florida's 30-2 overall against Vanderbilt since 1989, right? We've outscored Vanderbilt by 19.6 points per game in that span, which from 1989, right, to last year, 1,111 points to 485 points.
Oh, jeez.
Right? So a little bit lopsided. Those were days of people who remember fun and gun, and, people who criticized Spurrier for running the score up. His famous words were, well, stop us then. Right? So that was what it was. Interesting, fun fact. Most people might not know this because, of course, we have mixed feelings towards Coach Napier, but Billy Napier is going for his 50th career win, including his 10th. This will be a big one at the helm of the Gators, of course, right? So with a win, he'd become the 9th coach with 50 or more wins since 2018. Nick Saban's got 66, Kirby Smart 65, Dabo 63, Lincoln Riley 59, Luke Fickell 57. Brian Kelly, 57. Jim Harbaugh, 51. And Josh Heupel with 50. So Billy seeking his 50th win. That's going to be huge. It's homecoming. It's the Swamp. It's mid-afternoon, late afternoon, 4 o'clock kick. So not the hottest part of the day, but the Swamp will still be the Swamp. I expect people to show up. I know some great people are going to be there, especially with Gator Growl the night before. So I'm looking for this week to be like what we mentioned earlier, a lot of accountability, not finger pointing, a lot of regrouping, getting back to basics, putting on a really good show in the Swamp, continuing that winning tradition there, and then getting a little bit of momentum for the gauntlet that we're about to face over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
You got that right. You got that
And there
right.
you go.
No, I love it, man. I'm looking forward to being there. As we mentioned
Yeah.
before, I'm gonna make it up for this one. Really looking forward to hanging out a little bit before the game with you, and then going to see what I hope is a pretty solid performance. We'll talk to that in a second here, but absolutely, no, it should be a good week. I don't think there's too much to be overly worried about with Vandy. Didn't think that last year either, but but they don't have Ray Davis anymore, right?
Oh, wow.
Apparently, maybe
Check,
it's the Ray
please.
Davis factor. Maybe it's the Ray Davis factor that's the issue. I don't know. Anyway, so where are we at right now, though? I know it feels frustrating, but we're going to have positive and negative variance throughout the season, right? We're going to have that. This team is not an A-plus level team. They're just not yet. Now, I think we're seeing some positives, and we're, of course, seeing some negatives. But I wonder, and another question that I'll ask here, we kind of touched on it earlier. Can this loss bring about some positive change in getting Billy to really examine his process? And I think it's definitely possible. He was quoted, I believe today, as saying that he is always evaluating the process, right? He always says that.
Yes.
We understand that. That's the standard boilerplate line. But then he made a comment that he is much harder on himself, kind of like he said about
Yes.
Mertz, than others are on him.
Yes.
If that's really true, if both of those things are really true, then I think there's zero reason why this shouldn't be looked at after this game. Now, I know he's already said he's not going to change the play calling right now, but I know with all the attention that it's gotten from the media and everything else and us, and I know I'm not saying he's listening to us. I certainly don't think so. But at the end of the day, we're not the only ones saying this, is the point that I'm trying to make. There are a lot of people saying this, right? And I think there's a reason for that, right? There are things that show up on film, and he's supposed to be, the film guy, right? And the process guy and all these things. He's got to be seeing this. He's got to be seeing it. He's got to be looking at it. And if he's really being honest about it, and he really is harder on himself than anybody else is, if those things are true, then he's got to be looking at making a change here. When it comes to the consistent effectiveness of his plays. It's the best way I know how to say it. I'm not saying they never work. Of course they do. And he has shown a little bit of, putting some wrinkles out there and things of that nature. But he is not, a savant in that area. He's a savant in recruiting. That's been shown, right? And continues to be shown. He's, I think, getting to be where I'm going to start calling him a savant when it comes to culture, right? When I'm seeing the way these guys just don't quit and keep playing and everything else. Again, there's some work to be done there as far as some of the things we talked about, but man, it's pretty good overall. This is a solid, quality, good group of kids that, didn't get that way by magic. You know what I mean? That came from him and his program helping to instill some really good stuff there. So, I think those things he's excellent. I'm a little concerned, more than a little concerned. Poor way to put that. I'm very concerned about the phase of this where he continues to call plays. So again, I hope it's something to get looked at and maybe something positive to take out of this, drubbing that we took, is that I would think he's really got to look at it there, because, there's going to be games, right? There's going to be games where your defense doesn't play up to par and you're going to give up some points. In the way things are right now, that's a loss for us. We have no chance. We have zero chance in that game. None. I knew that game was over when it was 23-0 before we scored the first touchdown. I know theoretically it's possible to come back, but it was over. It was over. We can't go down 3 scores. If we go down 3 scores, the game is over. I don't care how hard we fight. This team does not execute well enough offensively in basically any situation to be able to overcome that. Period. They just don't in their current state. Now, again, get some better players in here, and I'm not dogging the guys we have. I think we have a decently talented team, but, it could get better, definitely. And get, a play caller in who really understands, the high level X's and O's that you need on the offensive side, just like just like Austin does on the defensive side, right? I mean, the guy looks excellent as far as his scheme. I've not had one qualm with schemes that he has run all season. He's looked terrific as far as what he's calling, right?
Mhm.
That hasn't been true on the offensive side of the ball. So hopefully that's something that we can change and really, get better with. So that's what I got as far as where I see us going forward. I hope that there is some positive change that gets brought about by this. Again, maybe not right away, but over time here. And this is kind of a mark we can look back at and say, yeah, that might have been the turning point. So with that, let's move it on. Let's play a little keep it or pitch it for Vandy. First, we do a recap of the prior week. We both went 1-2. We picked all the same last week, which has never happened before. And we went 1-2. And so just to rerun them real quick. So Kentucky was currently averaging 38 points per game, and the Gators were only giving up 13.5. Obviously, that changed. And we said we would hold Kentucky to under 21. We both kept that. We were both very wrong. That was wrong at halftime, but okay. Kentucky, so we didn't get that one. Kentucky is currently allowing 45% third down conversions. Yikes. We should have really done better on third down. Florida will convert more than 45%. Now, we both pitched this. We didn't think they were going to get that, but we thought they'd be in the low 40s. Yeah, we were in the low 30s. Whoops. But we still got it right because we did say we weren't getting better than 45. Lastly, Kentucky is currently averaging only 2.58 yards per carry, allowing 2.58 yards per carry to their opponents. Florida will average over 4 yards per carry. Goodness. This week, we both kept that. They actually improved their season average by only allowing 2.4 against us. So yeah, there's that. So not a good week. 1-2 for both of us. That moves me to 6-5 on the season. You to 5-6. So we're very neck and neck there. And we'll keep it going here for Vandy. So number one, Vandy is allowing 87.5% red zone conversion. Not good. Florida will get right at home and convert 90% or better in the red zone. Keep it or pitch it.
As much as I'd love to keep it, as much as I'd love to say they get it better, I'm going to pitch.
Wow. Now, again, this doesn't have to be touchdowns. You're pitching.
I'm going to pitch because, I'm going to pitch.
Now, in fairness, there is something to this because it's such a high number that, if we miss one, we're probably done, right? If we go for it on fourth down or something on the goal line and they stand us up or something like that, we probably don't get to this number because we're probably not getting, 10 trips into the red zone. I hope we do, but I don't think that's happening. So if we miss one, it's probably over. But having said that, I'm keeping it. I think we're going to go back to our, kind of 100% ways. I think team's going to play better at home. I think it's homecoming. I think worst case scenario, we kick some field goals, and I think Trace Mack makes them. So I'm going to keep it. So we're gonna go back to our ways of disagreeing here.
Good deal.
All right, so that's number one. Number two, we're going to throw in a little wrinkle here. We haven't done this before. But I kind of just liked this because of some stats that I'd seen so far this year, and I'll give you some of those after we make picks. The line for this game is minus 18.5 for Florida. So Florida's 18.5 point favorites as of today. Subject to change, obviously. My guess is it goes down, but regardless, it's not going to go down a ton. So the keep it or pitch it will be that Florida will cover the spread at home this week. So we will win by 19 or more. Keep it or pitch it.
I want to see a dominant win. I just want to see a win. I want to see a dominant win. So I'm going to keep it.
Aha. And the trend continues. I'm pitching it. I'm pitching it because we have not covered as a home favorite yet this season. So I'm gonna say that trend stays alive. I do think we win this game comfortably. I think it's probably like 17 points. I think it's a good win. 15, 17, something in that neighborhood, I think is what we win by. But I don't think we're going to get to the 19. We need to cover that spread. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, we haven't covered once yet this year. Prove me wrong, Florida. Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
All right, last one. This is a good one. I really like this one. Vandy is averaging 274 yards passing per game. It's actually top 40 in the country right now, believe it or not. They're actually passing the ball fairly well. They're not running the ball very well, by the way, but they're passing the ball pretty well. We will hold them to under 200 passing yards through the air. Keep it or pitch it.
I'm going to keep that one.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm pitching that one. So we're back to disagreeing across the board. I love it. I love it.
Holy
So
smokes,
we're
man.
completely different. I'm pitching that one. I think now, in fairness, I think we'll keep them low. I think it'll be like just over 200, 205, 210, 215 tops, something in that neighborhood. I don't think it's like going to be like they throw it for 250 or 260 on us, but I think they can get to 200 because they're obviously decently efficient at doing it. So we'll see what happens. I hope you're right on that one, for the record. I would be glad to be wrong, because if we hold them under that, I think we might cover that spread. You might have one thing lean into another there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what
That's
happens.
the hope.
That's the hope. That's the hope. I like it. All right. So different across the board again. Back to the way it has been on Keep It or Pitch It.
Unreal.
All right. So with that, we're going to wrap another episode up here. Thanks to everybody who's been listening, and we're coming up on like 200 downloads on the season, real close to it. Really appreciate everybody who's taking the time. We know they're not short pods, but there's a lot of stuff we'd like to talk about here. And really, I can speak for Andy and say this, but I'll let him say it too. We're really enjoying this. I mean, we're having an absolutely great time just talking Gator football and getting all this stuff out, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever we're discussing. We're really enjoying it. So thanks very much. I'll let you chime in on that point for a minute if you'd like there, Randy.
No, it's awesome. This is for me and talking about this, and hopefully for a lot of you out there listening. This is, when a Dr. Phil moment, right? When you go through certain things and you talk about it, and sometimes you've got things in your head that you want to express, and sometimes you want to say it, sometimes you don't want to say it, sometimes other people say it for you, you feel a bit better. Because I'll be honest with you, after going through all these things, after talking about all these things, my blood pressure is down. I feel a lot better. Now, that's to say, still got some issues to fix. Again, as Coach Napier would say, truth be told, we have to look at ourselves very closely in the mirror and evaluate everything that we've done to this point. Yes, Coach. So he's going to meet with leadership. He's met with leadership this morning. He's meeting with them again. I think their leadership team meeting somewhere around 11 a.m. We'll see what comes out of that. We'll look to see what happens with the injury update and as he addresses the media later on this week and go from there. But I expect to see a strong comeback. And either way, I really enjoyed talking about with you, B. So really good to exercise and kind of talk about those points back and forth. I feel better. Gator Nation, hope you all feel better. And hey, it's already the first Saturday in October. It's homecoming. Let's go, Gator Nation.
Absolutely. Love it. So with that, we'll sign off here and give you our standard line wherever you are, whenever you may be listening. Thanks so much for taking the time, and we'll see you around, Gator Nation.